This content is brought to you by BEC Financial Technologies, developing and operating IT for Danish banks.
And today he will tell you about Scalable test automation framework. So please give a warm welcome to Artur łkowski. Hello.
Thanks. Thank you for this introduction. Okay, so I would like to talk today about what is mean the Scalable automation framework. And there will be few fallback to the presentation from the beginning. But before we dive to the presentation, let's discuss what it mean not scalable framework at all. What it mean for me. So when you are working as a QAs in your team, yeah, and you have a problems with delivering of your feature, and you spend a lot of time to implement new function, new code to cover your task, or you find the problem that maintenance of scripts in your team is too big and you don't have enough resources in your team or your hand to maintenance the test cases, and you start discussions under the team that some kind of test cases should be removed from regression or portfolio because we don't have enough time to execute them. And this decision is almost equal that you can just remove them, yeah, because no one will touch them again. And even if you run few test cases after a few months, you will spot a lot of problems that they are not working because of the changes of framework, because of change of application, etc., and there will be no time to maintenance them, yeah. And of course, we will discuss how to create the scalable automation framework, because like at the beginning of this conference, there was presentation about how change the entire QA's process. And there was mention about the information that they choose JMeter as a performance testing tool, yeah? This is decision from the higher management, yeah? But there is nothing about how it should be implemented in the QA team, on the QA level, how they should cooperate with them, yeah? Before we dive to the presentation, a few things about me. I'm Python enthusiast and freak about robot framework. I'm working now as an architect and QA lead of 2 different products in Nordea. At home, I love the automation, Internet of Things, and I love the bikes. Yeah. So why the frameworks are not scalable? I created 2 sub problems in this area. One of them of course, is the organization, and second is the desk. Yeah? About the organization, when you are working in small team with 1, 2, 3 friends, yeah, from the organization point of view, they choose probably some kind of tools. Hope so. And you start preparing the scripts to cover your feature. Everything is green, everything goes smooth, etc. From organization point of view, they care about only the results of your jobs. They don't care how you do that, what you are doing inside of the scripts, how you test it. If there is no any problems on the production, which blow up to our face, no one will ask you what you are doing. Yeah. But when the teams start growing, yeah, and more QAs comes to the team, or more products comes to reuse your application, or more developers comes, yeah. So at the end, the entire team is growing. There will be more QAs in your team, at least let's make the example like 10, and probably you are not sharing any good way of working, how to share the information about the automation. They use all of these guys still working the same process, that everything needs to be green. And this is about that Scrum Master and all of the guys just push us, yeah, to finalize our work. From the organization point of view, the results only matter, yeah. The problem here is that when the team is growing, yeah, no one starts thinking about, okay, we should redesign our automation in common way, that everyone will share the same code, yeah, or some function, same way of working about generation the data, etc., yeah. We can just summarize these problems that the organization do not treat the automation framework as an internal product. because at the end, geometer, playwright, robot framework, etc., it's not the framework of the automation. It's a tool, which on top of that, you are building something bigger. Yeah, this is just the basic Lego bricks, which you utilize in the future to build something bigger. And the problem with that is that for sure, no one from the organization comes up to our team and start creating the process where you should start thinking about the automation a little bit globally. And this is a problem that we are not raising the hand. Because when the automation is growing inside of one repository, yeah, and you have 10 QAs in the team, and you don't connect to each other, yeah, to share the knowledge, how to execute something, how to test something. Maybe your feature is very similar like me, let's share the code, yeah? And you are not sharing the knowledge. It's that the problem that we are not raising the hand to the team, that we should start thinking about the automation a little bit more globally, yeah? Okay, this was about the organization. Summarize it, that organization will probably choose the tool which you need to use in your daily life, but they will not create it how you should use them. Next problems about not scalable the automation framework is about desk level, and desk level is our problem. It's about that we do not book time during the sprints and during PR planning that to prepare the automation or even test automation framework, then script, then execution of the test, yeah? Because it's a 3 different tasks. And they should be tracked separately. Because from the higher management, they will see how long you spend the time to implement something in the framework, how long it takes the execution, and how long it's collecting the logs, yeah? Because preparing the scripts can take 1 day, but the execution can take 2 weeks. Like at the beginning they mentioned, there can be a lot of problems with the environment itself, yeah? Which you can resolve as one standing guy as a QA, yeah? So, and we, next point about the time pressure, we agree in organization to make some kind of semi-automated scripts or even go to manual execution, where we have a policy in the company that everything should be automated, yeah? Next thing is about global thinking, which I already mentioned, that when you are creating new function in your test automation framework, new feature comes up and you need to test it. You are not making the research. Yeah, this is a first point also about that speed stories for the automation tough development, to make the research, because maybe something is already exists in the automation which you can just reuse them. Yeah, not preparing the same function from the scratch. And of course, this is what we are doing in wrong way in this case, that when we find something which we can just reuse it, but the code not fully fit to our needs, we are not contact to the developer, or of course in this case QA, who deliver this function, to make some kind of agreement to refactor this function to fit all of the needs. Yeah, mostly the guys just copy paste, change the few lines of the codes, change the name of the function. That's it. Yeah, and that's comes to us that the repository will grow with a lot of functions, which is very similar. Yeah, and this means that all of the different QAs have different approach in the automation, because all of them create own function. They are not sharing the same knowledge. Yeah, and then the last one is about no layers, no borders. It means if you don't have a layout of the repository, where we should store the system under the data, like users, passwords, logins, URL, addresses, yeah? All of these things should be on separate folder, file, which is pinned to the dedicated maybe user or QA or team. They should not be hard-coded on test case level, yeah? If you are hard-coding the user on test case level, it's wrong approaches, yeah? Because it's not the test data. And of course, we, which I saw in different products, we can name it the same arguments in different ways, yeah? Like, let's assume we have an admin state, yeah? Someone will be admin state without any dash or comma, some kind of shortcuts, etc. So it means I can review all of the codes and all of us will use the different naming of the parameter or values for the same parameter which we would like to touch on the product. Yeah. Okay, so we know what is meaning not scalable automation framework and what is the reason of that. So let's talk about how to do that. The first level of the scalable automation framework which I created is the driver level. Yeah, driver it means all of different interfaces which you need to use to touch your product. It can be databases, telnet, SSH, some kind of UI, SAMP, REST, SOAP, etc., etc. All of these things which you are using to touch your product. These interfaces should have own driver. But what is in the own driver? Own driver, it means not when we play with the Selenium. It's not mean that you need to use this. When we play with the UI, it doesn't mean that you need to just use the Selenium. You need to build your own driver on top of the Selenium, which will fit to your needs. Because if you just script inside of your test cases directly from the Selenium, you will get the same output which get the yarn from ChatGPT. Yeah, there will be there will be no any difference between ChatGPT and just directly using this Selenium inside of the scripts. You should build all your own driver, own library, which use Selenium or Playwright or Cypress, you name it. What kind of driver technology company will choose? Yeah, but you need to build your own driver. So let's base on the driver for the UI. Of course, if probably you already know, there we have a few patterns like page object model, which describe briefly that each element of the page should be mapped to the dedicated subclass of inside of code. So during my review all of these frameworks, I spot two stages of this implementation. First is like, okay, QA knows the page object model, page object pattern, and they create submodules for dedicated view parts. But at the end, they just use the same function from the Selenium, like input text, click button, etc. So you have a submodule, like main page, that login, that something, or okay, main page, that login, that input text. So inside, based on this function, you can input text to the admin and password. Yeah. Stage 2, okay, the user knows that because the first stage have one common problem, it's very hard to read, yeah, because you need to investigate all of the XPath, etc. during the reading the codes. So mostly I need go deep to the codes to understand what you are doing inside of scripts. Stage 2 is a little bit improvement that the QA start using the dedicated function for touch dedicated elements on viewpart, like input username, yeah, input password, click login button, which is fine, but depends on the product. If your product and the view parts is auto-generated from the model, which mostly today new fancy GUI is mostly generated from the models, they can easily change the parameter, number of parameters, view parts, everything what you are seeing on the page by the model. They don't need to, do some kind of HTML code, etc. They change the model, regenerate the GUI, and they have new view part and new parameters on login page. If it's grow, like today we have a 5, tomorrow we will have a 100, and after that we back again for 5, you will not follow the implementation to deliver new function. Yeah. So I'm introducing my products the same. Based, of course, of page object model, but with the static methods like choose parameter, read all params, updates, navigate, and delete. So I'm zip all of the elements which you can touch on the page for dedicated under dedicated function. Let's talk about the read all params. When you go to some kind of page and you would like to read content from this page, you always would like to read everything. Because I don't want to read one parameter, after that next one, next one, next one. It takes 10 seconds in Selenium because you need to touch all of these elements. You can just easily scrap the HTML code and filter out the HTML code from that and map some kind of object in Python or other languages. So this is a common way of working on different submodules which I deliver in my product. Of course, it's more easy to read, faster to develop because all of this code is just copy-paste. Of course, there is hard-coded map delivered under the driver to map all of the objects like XPath, etc., etc. Yeah? This is a huge topic which we can discuss, which you can just review on my also Q&A summit last year. There is a dedicated movie on YouTube where I describe all of these things about how to implement it from the scratch and how you can reuse it. Yeah. One nice thing about this model is that I can just close my eyes, pick some kind of submodules, and know what kind of function I have it. Yeah, I don't need to dive to the code. Okay, I have an input login, input password. I just know that I need to use the choose parameter with the correct arguments. Yeah, and the driver will take all of the information that okay, this parameter is choose parameter, this is input text, this is toggle or something like that. All of these things is hard-coded in the map. Of course, map can be hard-coded or delivered even by the developers. Okay, this is how it can be done on driver level. Then we have a next level, which is interfaces. What is in the interfaces for me? Interfaces is, like I mentioned probably, this is how you touch your product. It can be UI, REST, SOAP, SSH, Telnet, DB, etc., etc. All of the things need dedicated driver which will fit to your needs, where you have your own dedicated wrapped methods to touch your products, maybe with more safe exploratory naming or something like that. Yeah. Of course, the number of drivers can easily grow. Mostly, probably, from my experience, QAs work with the UI. And of course, you have the backend here. Backend can be implemented as a REST API. So mostly you are touching the GUI and you're checking something via REST. Yeah? Or you can just go to the DB. From the client point of view, you have one interfaces which we would like to sell. It's a UI. Let's imagine the situation: you have a 5 years product, which go to the market, a lot of users, etc. And someone comes and said, "Okay, REST is fancy. Let's make the REST." And you don't have any REST functional test to cover your needs, yeah. But someone just requested that they would like to have the REST as a external interfaces. For the developer, for the product management point of view, it's just about the money. How much? From the developer's point of view, is 5 minutes. From your point of view, if you would like to test all of the functionality from the scratch by the REST, is weeks probably, and it can be very easily changed. Of course, the interfaces is mostly play with the hardware. In the companies like Nokia, Artur, and Cisco, all of the things about it, because there is a product which have multiple interfaces because the company use different interfaces to cooperate with this hardware. Yeah, so mostly it's about the hardware, also about the Intel. When we're talking about the microservice, it's more common. Yeah, so when you have a multiple interfaces and you need to care about functional test and you need to prepare the functional test for each test cases, because new function is come to your product and you need to test by all of the interfaces. Yeah. Of course, the feature is growing, number of interfaces is growing, and we have problems with the maintenance. Yeah. You will not handle it. If you are already in this point, at the end, you will hit the wall, for sure. It's just question when. Solution for that is create the layer between them. Is additional layer which zip them together under one libraries. Yeah, because all of the interfaces probably can base easily on the CRUD command or something like that. So they can be zipped under one common driver interfaces, which of course required dedicated maps for dedicated interfaces. But it allowed to us to prepare just one test cases, one functional test, which can be very easily executed by different interfaces. Yeah, because I'm creating the feature, covering the feature, I'm preparing the test case, and the interface is start being one of parameters which I'm changing. Yeah, so I'm executing these interfaces by UI, by REST, by netconf, or you name it. Doesn't matter what kind of interfaces you have it. So you prepare one functional test and execute it then multiply times by different interfaces. So you don't have a multiply test cases to cover multiply interfaces. This is interface level, which I name it. Of course, feature is growing, repository growing, but still you have a one layer where you handle all of the differentiation between the interfaces. Yeah. Next level is about how to scale the drivers on test automation framework. So we have the same situation that we have interfaces, we have this middle layer for the zip them together, and we have a red color which is repository. Yeah, we have a scripts, libraries, resources, system under test, and tools. I'm creating in my products where I'm working as a QA lead. I'm creating the first layer of automation framework, and this red box is a test automation framework. Everything which is yellow can be Python, Java, doesn't matter. This is the driver level. This is nothing about automation itself. It's about how to touch your product, nothing else. There is no any logic. If you set this parameter, it should go false or something like that. This is pure level to touch your product, nothing else. Then I'm creating the first level of folders in resources. Call it functional methods, you name it. You can call as you want. But this is a first layer where I override the methods from the interfaces level or from the driver, because the second point not need to be created in case if you don't have a common interfaces. Yeah. So this is a place where I override or zip methods from the driver to bigger methods. And this is a first point when you comes to me as a QA in my organization, you don't know about this yellow box at the beginning. You just start learning from this first red functional methods, because everything what you need to touch our products, to do some kind of functional test is there. Of course, there will be some kind of future which of course change all of these libraries, etc., etc. But at the beginning, you just need to just dive to this first folder. On top of that, I'm creating next one, which is I'm calling generic methods. It's the same idea, but is zipping the methods from the functional methods. The rule here is that the generic methods can use the driver directly. Always generic methods need to use the functional methods. Functional methods need to use the drivers, nothing else. So I'm building a small pyramid here, yeah? Of course, when you are preparing the test cases, features, etc., on generic methods, you have keywords like log into the page as user or something like that. Go there, choose parameters, do something, click submit, etc. So these are global methods, generic methods, which cover some kind of functionality from the feature, from product point of view. On the functional methods, you have just choose parameter or set something, delete something, etc. On generic methods, I'm combining the methods from the lower level to more functional methods. And this is a tough level of how I'm building this Scalable driver automation. Yeah. Next is about, in these cases, we have one product. It is one product, can be separate teams. Yeah, it can be 3 teams or 5, doesn't matter. but there is one product. But it's very easy to imagine that we have a multiply products based on the same platform, yeah, like Android, iOS, etc. Yeah, this is some kind of open product, open software inside of company which is utilized by the different products. Yeah, each mobile phone, Samsung 8, 22, 23 is a different products. Yeah. So how to make the test automation framework scalable on the products level? The basic architecture is the same. We just escalate it to products with next products folder, where the users can create or use the methods from generic methods, but on this level they can use the method and naming which they fit to their products. Yeah, because the products can have different naming, different functionality, etc. But on the products level, you can start reusing different naming. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how many products you have in your company. If they based on the same platform, you can create the functional generic method which is reuse it, can be reused by different products. Of course, on this level, you can't have any hard-coded values, parameters, etc. naming. But on the products level is a place where you start generate the product-specific data. And this is product level. And at the end, all of these things, it's presenting how to prepare the test automation framework in scalable way. So it doesn't matter in these cases. If there will be new interfaces today, but we have 3 products, and there comes new interfaces to our products, we just need to implement new yellow boxes. We need to implement the adapter. After that, create the. If we have the adapter here, we don't need to do nothing more, because all of the existing methods, all of the existing tests is already prepared and they consume the interfaces driver. Yeah, so we just implemented new boxes and change one argument, and we can run entire automation which we made via new interfaces. Yeah. At the end of the presentation, I would like to share with you 3 sentences. First is treat interfaces as a microservice, because today you can have 1, tomorrow 10, depends on the money. Next is about treat your automation framework as a product. What this mean? It means you should have some kind of architecture point of view, how this automation framework should be created, how we cooperate it, how we create the documentation, how we name it, etc., etc. All of the things around the automation should be there. Yeah. And the last sentence is treat your test results as a child of test automation, because when you start focusing on preparing the test automation framework, not just the scripts, you will just be a part of developing test automation framework, and the result will be just the result of them. Logs will be just the result of them. Any question? One thing about the numbers, because everything looks fine on the presentation, but how it works in real life. In real life, I'm implemented the same pattern based on the Python and robot framework in few companies. In one of them, there was 2 different products based on one software, so similar like iOS or Android. But this is the product was hardware centric. We had all of the layers here. At the end, we had 2 products inside one repository, which was shared with more than 100 QAs in one repository. So even if the products A deliver new feature and the same feature comes to the product B after 6 months, product B get it from free, yeah, because the first guys is implemented them. Second company where I prepared it, we don't have this second layer because it's microservices, and we don't have the common CRUD vision, but we have in one repository 10 different products, which they works as a chain, one by one, or sometimes like in the start, so they can communicate to each other. So 10 products, 50 plus the QAs in one repository, which they can share the codes. Yeah. Okay. Now question.
Are there
Yeah.
any questions? Yeah, we do have. So please just give me 1 second to bring the microphone.
Hello, I'm Stan.
Hi.
It looks like you present a very nice, from top view, solution.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it's very complex. You have multiple levels, multiple layers. We can call it, instead of levels, let's use layers. And then we have a problem because usually in organizations, the automation QAs, automation testers, sometimes they are called software developer in test. They may not be able to intellectually consume the idea. It will overwhelm them. And it may lead to the situation that you have to employ real software developers to maintain the framework. And if you are an organization that can afford that, because the price per QA is a bit lower than the price for the software developer, especially the senior one, then you may have different problems. And I understand that if we have, like you said, you gave the numbers. In one project, 100 QAs, automation QAs.
Yeah,
in
two
second,
projects in one repository.
In second, around 50 contributors.
Yeah.
And that's a huge project. And where do you think, by the feeling, where is the break-even point where it is worth of investing in the complex solution like you have, and you're actually going with the software complexity like to the large complex software that actually you are testing, and when it's not affordable? Let's say in number of QAs or number of systems, subsystems that you have to test.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So back to this presentation. This part, of course, need to be implemented by the senior, some kinds who know how to implement the codes, know standards, etc., etc. Yeah, this is not quite easy, and of course there need to be a lot of discussions to create it under the team about to take some kind of responsibility by the drivers, what kind of responsibility we would like to have here or here. Yeah, but you ask about when. I'm always make the same answer from the beginning. Always. Why? Because this allow to the organization avoid that situation that you have a free QAs in the team and they create different automation. Because if you don't have any rules against tough automation framework, you have a free testers. It means you have a free different approaches. They test in different way, then created even the test data in different way. Yeah. So when you have some kind of, maybe not the full picture, but some kind of these approaches, it's allowed from the organization point of view just easily to not start crying when someone is leaving the company. Yeah. Because if someone new comes, because you need to find the replacement by QAs, there is no any critical point from the QA point of view. Yeah. Because when someone goes out, easily we can find new guys which can start learning from the red color, and after a few months they jump to the orange. Yeah. So from the organization point of view, it's just about stability of team and stability of testing. Yeah. So from organization point of view, it's always worth to do that, because we will not hit the wall that you need to refactor your automation because of maintenance, huge number of test cases, etc., etc. So always.
Okay, I would continue this discussion with the coffee in the hand.
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to occupy the open band for the discussion.
Thank you very much, and that's a great idea actually to continue this conversation with a coffee in hand. Do we have any other questions in the audience? I don't think so. So thank you very much once again, Artur. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Pavel, please join us here.